Well, Ezi, welcome to the Fast Break Series. It is great to catch up with you.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. I'm sure fans at home are super excited to hear about the year that you've had, or the past 2 years that you've had, actually. It's been a pretty big one. How's it feel to be back on home soil for a few months?
It feels really good to be back. I was part of the last group that had to partake in hotel quarantine, unfortunately. But once I got out and back to Melbourne, it was really cool to just be back home and be with my family, and obviously be back with the Boomers again this season.
Yeah, for sure. Hotel quarantine. What did you get up to? What were you binging?
I binged Squid Game, so I watched that. I think a lot of people have watched that. Alana Smith, she actually sent me a puzzle, so I did that for a few days. Otherwise, just exercised, spoke to people, just chilled out, use it as a 2-week holiday kind of.
Yeah, try catch up on a few things for sure. Well, jumping straight into it, I am still astounded to know that you're only 22 years old. You've already got a WNBA championship to your name once Seattle claimed the title last year in your rookie season, and I guess in what everyone knows now as the WNBA wobble. How do you sum up that year?
I think it was just a very different year. It's obviously not what I was expecting going into my rookie year, but it's not what anyone was expecting as well. So I think the WNBA did a great job of making it work, and I'm really glad that I did go over. Last year, I think it kind of helped me in my rookie year to kind of just be immersed in the whole experience and be around my teammates all day, every day. And then just to win the championship was, just a great thing. And to do it with such a special group as well was really cool.
Do you reckon being in the bubble almost had a part in it, because you got to really bond with your teammates, and that probably reflected on the court as well?
Yeah, I think so. To an extent, I think the group had obviously been together for a while. We had a few new key players as well, but I think just to be able to be around each other helped, and we didn't get sick of each other, which was good, because it was, I think, just over 3 months with each other. But no, it was good. I think that definitely transferred onto the court, and we had great team chemistry throughout the season.
So good to hear. And I guess coming back for your second season and on the back of the championship, was there a mentality set by, I guess, the leaders at the club? It is a pretty big task to return coming off a championship, and probably does put a little bit of pressure on. Did anyone lead the charge on that?
I think we kind of realized how hard it is to win a WNBA championship, and I think it's really hard to go back to back with anything. But there was obviously that thought of going back to back and being able to win a WNBA championship again. So I think that's something that everyone was striving for, and obviously we weren't able to get it done this year. But yeah, I think that was on everyone's mind. Just we had a taste of that last year, so I think everyone was just really excited to be back in Seattle, back in front of home crowd, and just get the job done, which we fell short of this year.
From an outsider looking in on Seattle, it does seem like there is a really big focus on team culture. Having someone, I did see a video, someone like WNBA legend Tina Thompson coming in to the rooms pre-game. That's a pretty big moment. She said, you have the opportunity to add something that nobody expects. You have to be yourself, show up every day and do exactly that. As a rookie, hearing those words when you do play alongside some really big names, how did that make an impact?
I think it makes a huge impact when anyone says that, but coming from Tina Thompson, it was just pretty special. She's close friends with Noe, our head coach at Seattle, so she organized that, and I think she's right. You just have to capitalize on experiences and opportunities when you are given them. But yeah, just to be able to hear that from one of the greats was a really special experience.
And speaking of the greats, so Sue Bird and Brianna Stewart, you do play alongside them. Do you find yourself looking up to them at all as mentors?
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously Stewie is, a similar position to what I am. So in terms of on-court things and, some off-court things as well, I definitely go to Stewie, and she definitely kind of guides me in that aspect. And then just having Sue on your team, she's, just knows the game so well. And so I think it was pretty special to have her, to be able to play with her last year and this year as well. So just, having both of them on your team, they bring so much talent, so much experience, so much skill and coaching to the game as well. So I'm just really grateful to be a part of the team.
For sure. And well, pretty much half the Seattle squad got selected to go to the Olympics this year. Can you explain what the dynamic looks like when there's so many of you going, and do you just turn from teammates to opponents pretty quickly, or do you travel together? Or
no, I think obviously Sue, Jewel, and Stewie were at the Olympics, and I was there with Steph as well. But I think we were more excited to see them when we did play each other, because we're used to seeing each other every day. Steph and I were pretty close with Jewel Lloyd on the team, so when we did see them, it was just kind of exciting. I think we went to the men's USA game versus Australia, and they were there, and so we got the chance to say hello, and then we obviously played against them. But I think we're professionals. I think we do a pretty great job of just kind of changing that on the court. When you get on the court, it's game time, but off the court, we're all great friends. So it's good.
Yeah, so good. And so you and Steph both returning from Seattle to jump in the WNBL this season. Believe that round 5 is when it's happening. It'll be Adelaide taking on the Boomers. There's actually quite a few of you now all lining up against each other. It's pretty exciting to spend the summer here and have a few familiar names to come up against.
Yeah, for sure. I think it just brings a lot to the league having, I guess, WNBA players, obviously, and Lindsay Allen and Tiffany Mitchell on my team as well. So I think it's going to be really competitive this season, and I'm really excited for it. But yeah, I think, like I said, it's just great to be back in Melbourne, back in front of a home crowd. We had a little taste of that on the weekend playing Southside in a practice game in our new stadium at Parkville. And so I'm just looking forward to a lot of that this season.
Back on Olympics, it was a bit of an emotional roller coaster for the Opals and for the fans at home watching. It was also your debut. What do you take away from it?
I think, like, as an athlete, you kind of forget to reflect sometimes. But being an Olympian was definitely my number one goal. And to say that I've kind of done that and, played for Australia at an Olympic Games is pretty cool. So I think, obviously despite the result, it was still a great experience. We still went away with a great group. We're in an amazing country. So I'm, I guess, kind of proud to be an Olympian.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess you had some standout performances yourself. Probably the biggest moment for the Opals in the whole tournament, I guess, would be going up against Puerto Rico with the big challenge of a win by at least 25 points. Everyone at home was just sitting on the edge of their seats, and then you come away with it, and the emotion coming out of all the players was just unbelievable to watch. How do you describe that moment?
I don't know. It's kind of hard, because you do have to win, but to put that, 25 or however many points it was in front of that is, there's a lot of pressure. I think we went into the half only up by 1 or 2, and so we knew we had a big second half coming up. Tolo had a great game, Jenna, Kayla as well. So I think just on the bench, you're trying to count in your head, okay, are we up the right amount? How many do we need? But then just to come away with it at the end I think it was just relieving. I think we just, we didn't want our Olympic campaign to end. And so we just kept going, and, we're able to get the win against Puerto Rico and the amount we needed as well. Yeah,
well, there was definitely a lot of hearts racing on the couches at home, because that was, a super emotional night. But I guess speaking about your Opals journey, it's quite remarkable thinking about if only a few years ago you were playing in the under-19s Gem squad as a 16-year-old, and then backing up for the under-17s comp in the same year. And now, Olympics this year, and next year we look at the Women's World Cup in Australia. Where to now for the Opals? What's the goal for, I guess, the next 12 months?
I think it's obviously a big year playing or having the World Cup in Australia. I think that's going to be great for basketball, but just women's sports in Australia as well. So hopefully, that is a great turnout, and I think it will be. But obviously next 12 months, just kind of prepare for that. I think something that we didn't get the chance to have because of COVID was the prep time with the Opals. So hopefully we just have a few more camps, a few more scrimmages, a few more games in the lead up to that. And then, just focus on the World Cup and see what happens.
And your family, big supporters. Where does this talent come from? Were your parents sporty? Were your siblings into it? Surely, is it just you that's got the sporting talent?
No, my siblings, we're all sporty. I started playing basketball because of my older siblings. So my older brother and sister started playing, and then I followed, and my younger brother followed shortly after that. So we all play basketball. My parents didn't play basketball. So my dad played soccer when he was in Nigeria, but mum didn't play any sport at all. So I think we kind of just, came to Australia after moving from New Zealand, and just picked up a basketball and kind of just developed our game. And obviously our height definitely helps us in that aspect. But we're a pretty sporty family.
There you go. All it takes is pick up a basketball and get involved, I guess. Well, yeah, great to catch up with you, Ezi. Thanks so much for coming on the Fast Break Series and having a chat. We can't wait to see what the Boomers can do this season and have fans back at the game as well.
Well, thanks for having me.